it's really hard and they don't want it. But man, if you can get them through and let them see the light and let them see what it can make them into, it's amazing. Like, there's no lack of talent for wrestlers, but there's lack of better kids and better young men. So I think wrestling could be that avenue.
Before we begin, we just want to do a special thank you, a quick little shout out to the sponsor of the Pay It Forward podcast, Dahl Automotive. We appreciate you guys and what you do for us and allowing us to continue these conversations. And so we also want to just do a quick little plug here. If you have been watching and following the podcast, if you've been enjoying the content we're putting out, would you consider partnering with us and supporting the Pay It Forward podcast? We love bringing you the stories that we bring, but like anything, it takes a lot of time and money. And so for us to continue doing this, we do need and are asking for your help and your support. So if you would think about it, we will attach a link below, and we would love to have you, whether you're an individual or a business, partner with us and continue pushing the mission forward of the Pay It Forward podcast. Now, back to your regularly scheduled programming.
Welcome back, everybody, to this episode of the Pay It Forward podcast. I am one of your hosts, Austin Sewert, along with my co-host, Keegan Walls. And today we have the pleasure of sitting down and talking with UWL head wrestling coach Dave Malecek. Dave has been a wrestling coach for 31 years, 19 years as the UWL head coach. I could sit here and name off a bunch of different accolades and awards, but I'm just going to note a few. 2007 and 2024 NCAA National Coach of the Year, 2024 National Wrestling Coach Association Coach of the Year, NWCA Hall of Fame inductee, 3 NCAA Division III championships and won 3 NCAA Division III championships at Wartburg College. Excited to be with you here today, Dave.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited about this. It'll be good. Talk a little wrestling, talk a little life, and make this podcast happen. Make it big.
Absolutely.
Make it big.
We just got done with Leading with Power, and I was talking with Tony afterwards, like, I feel like I got to go wrestle somebody right now.
That's good.
I'm amped up. I'm ready to go. So this is great. Tell us a little bit about your background. Growing up in small town Iowa, how did you get involved with wrestling?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's the biggest thing is like who you put yourself around. And I was fortunate enough that I grew up in a small town in Iowa called Osage, Iowa. It's 2 hours west of here, La Crosse, Wisconsin. And that's all we had was wrestling. And everybody wrestled. Your uncles wrestled, your grandpa wrestled, your dad wrestled, your sisters might have wrestled. Everybody wrestled in my family. And that's just what you did, but we were also farm kids. You knew hard work. We grew up on a cow and cattle and pigs and corn and beans farm, and you worked hard. And my dad said, you can go out for 2 sports. You decide, because otherwise you're going to be working on the farm. And I was like, holy smokes. And I knew the hardest work I thought was in the spring or in the wintertime when it was cold. So I was like, I'm going to wrestle. But my brothers had wrestled too. My brothers had great success in the sport of wrestling. They're both all-state football players, and my brother Joe went on to become an All-American in wrestling at Nebraska. My other brother played D1 football at Iowa State. And so, man, I had a great upbringing. I was sharing that story the other day that I wouldn't have picked it any other way, you guys. Both parents working on the farm, 4 kids on 500 acres, 60 acres of woods. We had a stream, we had a river, we had a pond, we had little motorcycles. We were out in the woods all day, every day. I didn't have TV. There was no such thing as internet back then, not to date myself. But what a blessing. And we had a small community, not only at our church, but in our town in wrestling. And I joke all the time. I didn't even know we had basketball because that was the big thing in Iowa. I mean, Iowa is wrestling. There's no pro sports. It's kind of like Minnesota. They don't have pro sports either. But they, opportunity in Osage, Iowa, we had Olympians walk in the hallways. We have national champs walk in the hallways. You had state champs walk in the hallways. When you grew up, you wanted to be a wrestler. And I always tell a story. You could rob a bank in that last week of February because the whole town, 3,500 people, would drive to Des Moines, Iowa for the state tournament and watch wrestling. We had the Sea of Green. And it was amazing. And you had total support. I mean, young men and women don't realize how good we had it, you guys, in wrestling in Osage, Iowa, because you would walk to try to get to the mat. If you ever been to a wrestling match, they put a duel. They put a mat in the middle of the gym. You had bleachers. Bleachers would be packed. You had to walk through people would sit on the floor to get to the mat. And it was intense. It was intense rivalries. It was intense. And some of my best friends wrestled for the other schools. And man, I was spoiled. I was spoiled the lights. They'd have one light in the middle, and man, it brings a lot of great memories. That was a long time ago, you guys. And so I moved to Wisconsin 19 years ago, you two, and it's not like that here. There's so many other things. There's Brewers, there's the Bucks, there's the Badgers, there's all these, and then UWL. There's so many other things going on in this state. We didn't have that in Iowa. We had wrestling. And so I was very fortunate, and I think we're trying to bring wrestling to be a known commodity here in La Crosse. I think we've done a good job of that in the Cooley region, then in the state of Wisconsin. So that's a long answer to your first question.
That living, breathing wrestling, immersed in wrestling.
Yes.
And you still are today. So, and you did have the opportunity to wrestle D1 yourself?
I did. I had an opportunity to pick from quite a few schools, which, I say that out loud. It sounds kind of arrogant, but I was very fortunate that I had some coaches interested in me, and I chose the University of Northern Iowa, which is about an hour from home. Like I said, my one brother went to Iowa State, one brother went to Nebraska and had success there, and I had an opportunity to go to Northern Iowa, and I loved it. I had an amazing experience there. I was also fortunate enough to wrestle in the 92 and 96 Olympic trials, was 6th and 8th in those. They only take one guy per weight. Had a great, and man, that seems so many years ago, you guys. Now you guys were even born. My goodness. But it was a great experience. Wrestling taught me so much at Division I. I loved it. I did not like school, which is so contradicting what I tell our guys now. I hated school. I just wanted to wrestle. I wanted to work out. I'd skip class to go work out. I would not do anything on the weekend so I could go work out. I just loved wrestling. I wanted to do it every day, all day. I loved the mental side of it. I loved the hand-to-hand combat. I loved my coaches were so into wrestling as well. I just wanted to do that, you guys, every day. I still do. Here I am, 31 years later, I'm still coaching it. My body feels like it too, but I tell you what, I had a great opportunity at Northern Iowa, a great experience there, and man, the people I met, the people I put around me, the people I was fortunate enough to be coached by, teammates. Man, I'm 54 years old now, man. Back when I was in my 20s, we were unstoppable, I thought. It was awesome. It was a great experience.
That is awesome. So you mentioned a little bit the difference between how wrestling used to be and how it is today. What are the changes you've seen in the sport?
Man, I think it's changed a ton. I think they're better. They are just better. And I can't speak for any other sport. They are just better at wrestling. There's more positions. They're more athletic. They're more agile, more flexible. There's better coaching. There's better nutrition. Man, the list goes on and on. It's just better wrestling. Now, were they good back in the day? Absolutely. If you look at the 88 Olympics and 92 Olympics, we had more Olympic champs than anybody. It's usually USA, Russia, and Iran, and that's a whole nother podcast we could get going on that I don't think we'd have anybody listen to. But this one, I know they will. But the wrestling was really good in the 80s and early 90s for the United States. And so wrestling has gotten better. I think that sometimes youth these days think that, or adults think that kids aren't the same. They don't work hard. I tell you what, they work really hard. They just work in a different way. They work in a different direction. They have information in a different way, and you have to adapt with that and kind of move forward with it. I've been coaching all these years that when you start talking about comparing wrestling, I think it's day and night difference. I really do. There's some amazing athletes. Like when these guys in straightforward wrestling, maybe more conditioning was involved back in our day in the 90s, now their athleticism, it's amazing. It's so fun to watch and to see them do things. And I actually nudged a kid last night. I go, dude, I wish I could have done that when I was your age. That was awesome. God, I wish my body would have let me do that back in the day. Now my brain wants to do it, but my body can't. So.
Are you finding there's less people that are coming out for wrestling, though? I mean, I feel like my generation is softer. People don't want to do hard things. We talked about the importance of doing hard things. Obviously, the wrestler is a different breed than the average population, but in general, are there less people coming out for the sport?
Yes. And the flip side of that, which is women's wrestling. It's the fastest growing sport in the United States. It's nonstop. It's growing like crazy. So then you start thinking about that. Now these moms who wrestled in high school have kids, and they're like, well, of course you're wrestling. Absolutely. So the numbers are going to grow. I do believe that down the road. But I think right now, to answer your question, kids just don't want to do hard stuff. Think about this. I was fortunate enough to wrestle Division I and school was paid for. I look at our guys in our room, and I mentioned this earlier today, and I mentioned it yesterday. They were in there. A couple of guys were in there at 5:30. Some guys were coming back at 9. They had class. They ate lunch. They're coming back to watch film at 2:00 with the assistant coach. Then they're going to practice from 3:30 to 5. Then they're going to go home and study. They're not getting paid to do this. The guys that are willing to do it, it's really hard, but they want to do it. They're getting nothing. They love the sport. They love that camaraderie. They love the hand-to-hand combat. They love that part of what wrestling, the man it's making them into. And so I think wrestling numbers are lower because I can go, and I'm not going to pick another sport because that's not fair to the other sport. You could pick any other sport, and it's easier than wrestling. I said maybe swimming because there's that chance that you go underwater, and right, that's tough. Swimming's tough. Or boxing. We're a weight classification sport. I'm going to tell you maybe you can't eat as much tonight at supper. I'm going to tell you got to come in and work out in the morning. And I'm going to tell you to come in and you got to wrestle him, and he's going to beat you up for 2 hours.
Obviously.
Right? That's why I pointed at you. And that'd be our next podcast. I got to see this, get cameras going on this. But, it's really hard and they don't want it. But man, if you can get them through and let them see the light and let them see what it can make them into, it's amazing. Like there's no lack of talent for wrestlers, but there's lack of better kids and better young men. So I think wrestling could be that avenue.
Yeah, absolutely. One of my biggest regrets in high school is not wrestling. I wrestled in youth for, I don't know, a year or two. And my dad actually wrestled at UWL back in the day.
That.
So
what year? Do you know what year he was here?
Oh, he was born in 1967. I know that.
So we can get that figured out. So my sister says he is 59 years old. Yep. So 80.
I think he's 58.
59. And then so he graduated.
86 to 90 probably.
Yeah. I'll find out.
Yeah.
I'm going to go look up the record.
Yeah. So anyways.
That's awesome.
But that's one thing I wish I would have stuck with. And man, being in business now and the leadership world and the business world and entrepreneurship, like the value of doing hard things and being one-to-one with another guy. I got that in football. I mean, you get some of that in football, but it is not the same level as wrestling.
When you step out there, it was just you and that other guy. It's just you. There's no timeouts. There's no blaming anybody else. It's you. And like, I'll tell you what, and you bring this up earlier, like a lot of kids don't want that. Yeah. They want to be able to point the finger at somebody else. Their parents want to point the finger at somebody else. Everybody it's you. And the beauty about wrestling is everything you put into it, you're going to get out of it. So the more work I put into it, which leads into your business, which leads into the person you want to be, that leadership, the more I put into it, the more I get out of it. And I'm just telling you, like, it takes a lot of guts. And it's hard to get out in front of 300 people, 200 people, 100,000s, and it's mano a mano. It's hand fight. Yeah, I'm going at this guy. And man, but there's nothing greater too, because then you did it. You won. In football, there's 10 other guys. I can point the finger. You jumped off sides.
Yep.
Or you did this, or you didn't block, or hey, I didn't catch that ball.
Yep.
Man, wrestling, it's just you.
Yeah.
It's just you.
Yeah. No, in the back. Now I feel like now I'm intentionally putting myself in hard positions or doing hard things because I know the reward that can come from it. I don't know. Growing up, I feel like it's even in football, it's like you kind of took it for granted of the benefit that it would have for you later in life, where it's like, I didn't read a single book in high school, but now I like reading books because I know what it could do for me. You know what I mean? And maybe that's just some of me not liking authority and listening to others.
But we're diving deep here today.
Yeah.
A lack of authority. Yeah. That's good.
All right. But yeah, growing up, I wish I would have wrestled. I would encourage people to look into it. But I know being in athletics, there's a lot of different coaches that had a huge impact on me. You're obviously being that to others now. Who are those people for you?
Yeah, I was really blessed with the people that I had around me. And I think the biggest thing I knew from 7th grade on, I wanted to be a coach just because of the role models. And I told a story this past summer, and we were at the Hall of Fame stuff, that Craig Van Syke, who was a basketball coach, football coach, and PE teacher, I liked how he directed the class in 7th grade PE. I just had a vision. I had the light shine of like, this is the guy. I'm going to follow this guy. And I loved everything he did. And the way he directed, the way he treated people, the way he led class. We're talking about 7th grade PE class. This is where my brain was. And then he was a football coach. I loved how he coached. My brothers had him as a coach. They respected him. He led with authority. He gave examples. He shared his story. And then he did basketball, which is okay. I didn't even know we had basketball in Osage, but then, so we wrestled, but I had not seen Craig Van Syke. Excuse me. I told Craig Van Syke that story, and I had not told him that story in 30 plus years. He didn't know that. And I said, man, I'm in the Hall of Fame because of you. And he looked at me like, what? And I saw him back in Osage, and he was back for a group was getting together, and I happened to run into him. And I said, man, I owe a lot to you. And I had him as influential coach. I had a high school coach that's in the Hall of Fame. My high school football coach, the assistant coach, my head wrestling coach, the assistant wrestling coach, only coaches I had in high school, and junior high wrestling coaches are all in the Iowa Hall of Fame.
Wow.
Whoa. Talk about luck. My mom and dad just happened to buy a farm. They're from Pocahontas, Iowa. That's really the name of the town.
I think I've been there. Yeah.
No way.
I'm pretty sure I've driven through there.
Oh, yeah. You drive right on Highway 3. Yep.
You and Dave. Only ones that have ever been there.
Yeah, I think we have. Maybe there's 1,000 people there, but they happened to be looking to buy a farm and move from Pocahontas, Iowa. They just got married, and they moved there in 1966 and bought this farmland, and they were picking between these 3 different farms, and they picked Osage because they heard the school district was really good. And at the time, they had only 1 girl and 1 boy, and then my brother Dennis was born, and then I was born. But make a really long story short, we were so fortunate that they moved to that area because that school had amazing coaches. It had amazing academics. And, man, just fortunate the coaches I had, they're Hall of Fame coaches. Then I went to college at Northern Iowa, and I had a head coach, Don Briggs, and then Jim Miller was the assistant, Joel Greenlee was in my wedding. Jim Miller hired me as his first full-time assistant at Wartburg College. Still talk to those guys daily. Not daily, weekly. I just talked to Joel yesterday because today's Wednesday. I talked to Coach Miller on Monday. The relationships, key. They went through hard stuff with me, key. They challenged me. And I don't know about you two guys, but I'm drawn to people that challenge me. Yeah, I don't think you can do that. I don't think you can go to lacrosse and win a national title. I don't think you can do, when I was in college, run this fast or lift this much or wrestle this long. I love being challenged. And so I think that's the key part, that you put those really good people around you that want to challenge you. And I was just so blessed, man. I'm so thankful. I see guys go to other schools and they didn't have what I had. And it wasn't facilities, which everybody thinks, oh, it's facilities. Or they think money. It's not money. It's the people you put around you. Man, I was so blessed. It's like God was looking after me. He was like, okay, I need to put you around these guys. And man, I still talk to them all the time.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's incredible. And so you were the assistant at Wartburg, and how long until you got your first head coaching job?
6 years. So, and we won 3 national titles when I was at Wartburg. And so that was really key. Like, I thought I was ready to go my first year. I'm not going to lie to you. I was like, I got this. Well, what do you need to know as a head coach? Like, I'd tell Coach, I'm looking for head jobs. He goes, I just don't think you're ready. But if you want to leave, go ahead and leave. So within that 6-year span, you guys, I had couple job offers at other schools, went and interviewed, got them offered, came home, and it's like, nope, because Coach Miller always talked about go somewhere where, you can win, go somewhere where there's great people, where they've, going to support you, and somewhere that your wife wants to go as well. And some of the other places we went to, we didn't check all those boxes. We didn't get the chance to win, but I really wanted to be a head coach. But looking back, as we all do, like you said, I could have stayed there my whole career and been there my whole life, and stayed in Waverly, Iowa. My wife's family lives 10 minutes away. My family lives 45 minutes away. It was easy. We had to get out of our comfort zone, had to get challenged. And so we moved to Wisconsin, which is so far away and over the river. And like, holy smokes, man, that was the best decision of our lives, is to move to this city and be a part of this.
So talk about that. Talk about your early years here at UWL, building up that program into what it is, and maybe some of the adversity or the struggles you faced. Like there, I imagine there's a huge difference between being the assistant coach to the head coach. All of a sudden it's a wake up call.
Right.
You're the guy.
You're right.
You got to have the answers.
Big boy chair.
Yeah.
Right. Like I moved one chair over and like, holy smokes. And you listen to Pat Summit, lady volunteer coach for the longest time. I won all those championships. She goes, careful what you wish for. You're going to slide one chair down. There's a big difference from this assistant chair to that head chair. So I was reading her book. I started reading it as well. And, but maybe now I'll do more podcasts. But I think the other part too is like those adversities, you're going to have those. I came from Iowa where wrestling's number one. I came from fully funded, every budget you need, everything you needed. Kids, their first choice in Iowa is to go to Iowa State or Northern Iowa, the D1s, and then they come to Wartburg. And the pick of the pick came to you. I got here to lacrosse. There's no budget. There's no recruiting budget. You have no assistant. You have one of the worst wrestling facility rooms in the nation. I could go on about I walked in like, whoa, here's the kicker. I haven't told many people this. When I got hired here, you're 100%, full-time contract. 25% was raising funds for rec sports.
Really?
50% was teaching, and 25% was head wrestling coach. That's nuts. That's like taking your jobs and going, I'm going to split you 3 different ways. I want you to be the very best at each one. I want you to win a national title. Knowing you just left a college that you're going to compete for national titles with, that has everything. You're not going to have that. So you smile and you're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to be challenged. I'm going to do this. I remember telling my wife, babe, we're going to do this. And are you okay with it? Yeah, okay. So we came, and then I got here, and you want to talk about struggles. I just couldn't find my groove. I couldn't find where my energy needed to go. It wasn't fair to the students I was teaching. I got my master's in physical education and pedagogy and teaching classes and how to handle a classroom. I love teaching. I love these college students that come. I want to be a teacher and coach. Man, I love that part. But that also was from class was 7:45 to 9. Then I had a half-hour break. And then I taught again right after that. And I taught one more time, teaching 3 times a week. Then twice a week, I had to go to all these meetings. Anyway, going down a rabbit hole here. Like, I get so fired up because it wasn't fair to rec sports. It wasn't fair to teaching. It wasn't fair to the athletics. But that's just the job. And you do it. And then you do all that. And then you'd put the kids to bed at night and try to spend a little time with your wife. And then you'd stay up till midnight, 1 o'clock. And then you'd get up at 4 o'clock so you could have a little free time. And then you try to get a workout in. And then you try to be a better man and better husband and get the kids up, help out there, and then get right to work. Man, I was wearing pretty thin. And then finally we had a new athletic director came in, and he goes, I'll make it better, 50-50. 50 teach, 50 coach. Okay. 2 years later, it goes 65-35. And he came in and goes, hey, I see where this is going. You're 100%. So for the last 8 years, I've been 100% coaching. It's been awesome. And I have a full-time assistant and everything else. That's the biggest, earliest struggle. Getting people to buy in then also to wrestling and getting the best recruits here, because everybody can work, guys. Everybody can work and with what you have. But when you get to win championships, you got to have talent. You got to bring in better talent. And so we've really tried to get that better talent here, and it's happening. And also when you come to lacrosse, when you think of lacrosse athletics at UWL, what do you think of? Football and track.
Sure.
And gymnastics. You don't think about wrestling. Like, we were 7th, 8th on the ladder. No one in the Cooley region. I remember meeting Roger Herring the first time. The stadium's named after him. I met him for the first time. He looked at me and he goes, can you win? I said, I think so, coach. And he goes, what questions you got for me? I said, I only got one goal with you, Coach Herring. I said, I want you to talk wrestling. I want to see you talking about wrestling here in lacrosse. He goes, I'll work on it. He was retired at the time. He had his coffee, his group, the quarterback club, I think they called it. And I kid you not, 3 years later, I walked in, they're having coffee. They're all talking wrestling. They're all talking about the upcoming national championships.
Really?
I was like, boom, check that box. I got that taken care of. So, and Roger passed a couple years ago, and I was telling that story to some of the football guys. That's pretty impressive. But struggles were there. Getting good assistant coaches, budget, fundraising. Man, as a CEO, it's less X's and O's. I teach less technique over all these years. Early on, I thought it was all about X's and O's. It's not. It's relationships, and it's getting the right recruits, and it's fundraising and getting people excited about UWL wrestling. And, hey, man, sharing stories. Man, I shared a story today about Mike Douglas, who's 270-pound dairy farming kid from Platteville, Wisconsin. And you get sharing that story, and he gets around you guys, you're like, I want to come watch him wrestle. And rankings don't mean as much, or, hey, this kid's from Holman, that might be kind of cool, but you share a story about these guys, like, I want to go see this guy compete. And then you meet him and you're like, oh, yeah, I met that guy. It's so, yeah, there's a lot of struggles. I could go on for days about that one. There's been a ton of what we've done. Yeah.
How long do you think it was before you kind of found your groove and your footing and you kind of started humming as a program?
There's 2 phases to that. And I think that's a really fair question, that we were really good early on. My first year here, we got finished 3rd in the country. Then we finished 2nd. Then we finished 3rd. Then we finished 2nd. Then we finished 3rd, 4th, 3rd. 7 years in a row, we had top 4 finish in the nationals. And then 2013, we got 4th, and we were rolling. But we were the Wild West. I'm just going to be real honest on your podcast. It was the Wild West. I had more phone calls from the cops and dorms and people on campus. you have a bunch of yahoos on your team. And I'd be like, well, they can really wrestle. They're really good at wrestling. But back then I had hair and it started falling out because, no, I'm kidding. But man, it was just the Wild West. And the culture was not good. Guys didn't train that hard. They played really hard, but guys going down the wrong paths, not taking care of school, being ineligible. And I finally came home in the spring of 2013 and said, I'm done. I can't do this. So we changed the culture. 2 number 1 ranked guys in the country the next year, 2014, kicked them both off the team. One guy was culture-wise, he was really bad for, hey, let's not work out today, or let's do this, and not wrestling-wise. And then the other guy was smoked more weed than anybody else on campus. And like, we're not going to do that. And so he then, both of them kicked him off number 1 country. We finished 16th that year. And that was my favorite year. And that's when it changed the culture. 2014, started bringing in different kids, started bringing in different young men, got rid of a couple assistant coaches, and we kind of cleaned house. Everybody's like, God, where'd this guy go? Where'd this guy go? Well, we had to change our culture. So it was awesome winning early on. And then we had a culture change. And then 2018, I think we really turned the corner and brought the right guys in. And the culture changed, and we've gone nothing but straight up. So we were 16th, and then we've worked all the way up till now in 2024. We were 3rd in the country. So we're back in that thick, and we're ranked number 1 in the country as of today. So first time in school history, first time in program history, first time for all those things. And our guys are like, well, hell yeah, we're ranked number 1. We should be. We've worked our tail off, and we've earned this. But now we got to go prove it. And I got to go prove it to everybody else. And so it gets kind of exciting.
What was the conversation like with others on the team and the coaching staff when you fired those guys that were the top? I mean, you hear that story in business, top performer sales guy, but he's terrible for the culture.
Yeah. And I think that's those conversations you got to have face to face. And like, I wasn't going to send an email. I wasn't going to send a text. And I'm just like, hey, we're going a different direction. And man, it sucked. Like I stayed up many nights, as I'm sure you guys have, thinking it through all the different scenarios. But they knew it was time for them to go too. And I still see those guys. And those 2 guys I kicked off, both graduated. Both are helping with wrestling. They're still involved with the sport, and they know that was what was best for them. They didn't leave here as national champs. They left as All-Americans the year prior. They knew it was best for them. They knew, and they now, but at the moment they didn't. But man, you got to decide what's more important, like those trophies or your culture. Because I knew I could keep doing the same path and get trophies, but not feeling good. I remember walking out of the arena. I'll never forget this. Cedar Rapids, Iowa, the Powerhouse Arena, I think it's called. Walking out of that going, this sucks. We just finished 4th in the country. And I'm like almost pouting about like, I just didn't feel good about it. I love the guys and the guys that were doing things right. You're drawn to those guys. But our company, as CEO, we weren't going the right path. And so I had to take a couple kicks and lost a couple of recruits because we had 3-4 tough years. Man, I'll never take that back now. But I had to change too, you guys. I was not a great coach. I still think my best coaching is ahead of me. I am not even close to where I want to be coaching-wise. That's not wins and losses. That's just where I want to be coaching. But, man, I was not very good, letting guys get away with stuff. Or I point the finger at myself. Like, I wouldn't let my kids do that. Why am I letting these guys do that? So, that's a rabbit hole. What you could... we were the Wild West.
What are some of those character traits that you're looking for now in the young men that are on your team?
I mean, are you coachable? That's number 1. Like we look at accolades a little bit, but really, are you coachable? Do you have that inner drive? Are you intrinsically motivated? I mean, are you motivated because you like winning, or do your parents like it? Are you driven? Like I always tell these guys, what are you going to do at 6:00? It's blowing like today. Blowing snow, you got to walk across campus, come get your butt kicked for 2 hours. How's that? That sounds great, coach. Let's do it. Let's do it. I want you. Right. And having those built-in attributes. And the biggest part is being coachable because I do it this way, or my dad has me do it this way, or my high school coach says do it this way. I'm like, okay, great. Try it your way for a while, see him fail, and then come back and go, do you want my help? Okay. And I got a little dry sense of humor. I'm sarcastic and little jabs here and there, and the guys know it. And the freshmen don't. They got to spend their time. But I think it's one of those things where, you want to find those right guys. And like, I also think personality, like I know I could recruit both of you guys. I like your personality.
You couldn't win with me, but you could recruit
I bet
me.
I could. There's a challenge. Let's do this. You just told me you wanted to wrestle him earlier.
Dude, I'm 30 and I already got bad knees.
Oh, my goodness. But I could find a way to help you win. I could find a way. And so, like, if you got personality, you're willing to work, man, you can go a long ways in the sport of wrestling. And are you disciplined? You know, like, do you love the sport? When you say you love something, I always got, what do you guys love? Well, I love the Packers. Okay, why do you love the Packers? And they talk about all these things. Okay, who else do you love? I love my mom. Well, why do you love your mom? Okay, what do you love about wrestling? Oh, and they list all these things. Okay, we got to funnel those things and make sure that you continue to love the sport. And you're going to have days you're not perfect. You're going to have days you don't love it as much. But, man, you got to keep that in your heart while you do the sport because they're not getting paid to do it. And so we want to keep that in check.
How do you foster that culture of excellence when you're not winning? Sometimes,
yeah.
And maybe I'm wrong in saying this, but I think it's easier to have a culture of excellence when you got good guys and you're winning and everything's going good and you're on the top of the mountain and you're ranked number 1. But when you're ranked 16,
yep,
but you have the mindset of that culture of excellence, but you're not getting the results. How do you build that culture of excellence when you're not winning?
Right, small little things. You know, just little things, and understand it's never going to be perfect. And I think those little things that we started doing in 2014, 2015, 2016, I started sharing more of my story and be honest, started sharing more about my faith. I started sharing more about how human I am, how, hey, I've been in your shoes, man. I've been there. And going through those scenarios of like, okay, the small little victories. Hey, we got a big win against this guy, or hey, we just got a guy who just gave us $1,000 to our program. We're going the right direction. You keep like reinforcing what you're at and then like staying true to it because it's so easy to naysayers. I know I can make you a better wrestler. And he's over here going, hey, can't make it. Yes, I can. And then like, I'm going to explain to you how I'm going to do it. And so I think that was the hard part early on because I was fortunate enough to win in high school on a team individually. I was fortunate enough to be on a great team in college. I was fortunate enough to coach some high school really good teams. I was fortunate enough to coach at Wartburg College, won 3 national titles. So then you're used to winning, you want to win, but you got to share those stories. But also I think the biggest thing, I started showing how human I was and then all my failures. And they're like, well, that happened to you? Yeah, it happened to me. And then they started buying in even more. So yeah, guys are like, we're going today. Let's go because, hey, we're ranked number 1 in the country. I want to be a part of that. Yeah, we're ranked 16th in the country right now.
Yeah.
And that was hard in 2014.
Yeah.
That was my favorite year. Oh, my God. Because everything was new and exciting. I'd been coaching, for a long time then. So
talk more about that because I know we almost found a bunny trail. My favorite. But what are some of those things that you evolved as a coach that changed maybe from wins and losses, X's and O's, to now what you see of building up better men and really pouring into them beyond the wrestling mat?
I think I shared the story with them of what I envisioned the program, what I envisioned for them. And each guy's different. You might just want to be the starter and you want to be a national champ. And this guy wants to be a conference champ. Each guy's different. I want to make you the best of your abilities. And so sharing that with them and trying to get that vision for them individually, because every guy wants to know it's about them, not about the whole team. They want to know coach has got my best interest. I think those little avenues that we went to try to increase their belief in themselves. And it has evolved so much since I first started. And I always tell the guys, man, when I was younger, I probably would have had you guys running at 4 a.m. We've been running the bluff. And then wasn't that many years ago, I had guys, we had to have you put a partner on your back and run to the top of the bluff to get my point across. Don't have to do that stuff anymore because the culture has changed. But as a coach, I've evolved to be more relationship-based, more that conversation piece. Guys are in my office all the time. I was actually late coming down I was supposed to be there at 11. I didn't get down there today until 11:20 because another guy stopped in. I got to talk to you, coach. They're in my office all the time. They text me all the time. I text them all the time. And that has evolved over the years. It used to be X's and O's. And now I hardly at all even watch new wrestling technique videos. It's all about building better men, leadership. It's all about, and then sharing that with those guys is so key.
Was there a time and place for the bluff runs and that stuff?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I never do anything I won't do myself that I ask the guys to do. So I ran the bluff right when I moved here in 06, 07. Holy smokes. I'm not a runner, but I got to the top, hit the American flagpole, ran back down. It's like, woof. I'm going to use that to our advantage. Because I always tell our guys, if you can run that, you can wrestle hard for 7 minutes. Absolutely. So we always did grade checks because I've been here to 19 years. Every guy's graduated. No other school, no other sport on campus, no other school in our conference, no other body I'm recruiting against can say that. They always have 1 or 2 people, student athletes that fail and don't graduate. All 19 guys you wrestle, all 19 years, 4 years with me, they all graduated. Now, some took 5. When one guy took 6. He was really good at hunting and fishing, though. Hell of a
My kind of guy.
Yeah, right. Hell of a wrestler. But it took him 6 years. He's not a doctor. He's doing great now. Married and 3 kids. But the Bluff has its place. And so we'd have these grade checks. And these guys, hey, did you fill your grade sheets out? You have a yeah, when's class, coach? When's class? So I'm going to hold you accountable. I teach them about accountability. So I looked at this sheet and I was like, man, hey, why don't you write your name real quick for me here? And so he wrote his name, and I just set it next to the signatures, and it was all his. He filled it in himself, saying he was doing great in all of his classes. So I said, let's look him up online, and he was failing 2 classes. And I said, okay, I'm going to give you one more chance. Go meet with the professors. Brought the sheet back again, lied to me again. And I don't have many rules. I don't think I'm a rule guy, but lying to me is like the worst thing you can do. And we build trust with our guys, and I just want you to be upfront and straightforward with me. And he lied to me. I said, okay, I'll meet you at the bottom of the bluff, but bring somebody with you. He said, okay. Man, some sucker's got to run with me. I said, oh, no, he's going to get on your back. And so he had to take him all the way to top. That dude graduated with honors. By the time he graduated, never missed class. I just had to get to him and find a way. And I had talked earlier today about throwing darts. Sometimes it worked for you, and sometimes it works for you. Sometimes it doesn't work. I'm going to try again. I'm going to throw another dart and see what I can do. But he still brings that story up. And that was years ago. Like, his legs still hurt, he says. But you should have picked a better partner to come run with you. You should have brought the little guy, the smallest guy you possibly could, to throw him on your back. It took him a long time, but I got my point across.
Yeah, no, I think there's a time and place for that stuff. I think I've shared this story on the podcast. I'll share it quick because you're going to relate to it as a coach. But in high school, playing high school football, first scrimmage of the year, we had a really good team. We were close to winning state every year. And we just kind of half-assed the scrimmage, and the coach could tell. And we came off the field. We usually go up to the stands and see girlfriends and parents. Said, nope, going to the practice field. Coach sat us on the hillside. And Indian reminders, we'd call them Maguanago Indians. And you'd go do a run 10 yards, do an up-down, run 10 yards, do an up-down, and go back and forth all the way. And our coach sat us on the hill and said, you guys don't deserve to get better today after that performance. And everybody on the team watched Coach do an Indian reminder. Everybody watched him. You could hear a pin drop. And he's breathing heavy afterwards, but again, not telling us to do something that he wouldn't do himself. But man, that sent a message.
Got to tell those stories, man. That's what this podcast is about. You got to tell stories. And I think that's what we're missing in the wrestling world. But, one of our best wrestlers is, from Maguanago. Oh, really? Yeah, Tyler Gable. Yeah. And, Tyler's second in the country for us last year and having a great senior season right now. And Cole Hansen's on our team as well. We love our Maguanago guys. Yeah, they're tough.
Good program. Yep. Maguanago for sure.
Yeah. Did you know we wrestled at the high school there this year?
Oh, really?
I set up a duel because Tyler's ranked number 1 in the country and kind of wanted to give him a little something extra. And I said, hey, man, I lined up another college team. We're going to wrestle in your old high school gym.
That's cool.
So we went back. They filled the gym on a Saturday afternoon, and we wrestled in the gym. I said, where's your statue at, man? You told me there was a statue of you in here. There wasn't. No statue.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I think there's a time and place for that stuff, and that's important. So, talked about excellence, talked about culture. Let's talk a little bit about sharing failures. That was one of the biggest things I got out of today is just sharing failures. It's easy to put up all the good things that you do and all the good things you have going on and kind of fight the battles in silent. Tell us more, as a leader, the importance of sharing failures.
I think that's one of the biggest things that I've really kind of tried to hang my hat on with these guys, how many failures I've had. And I was just telling one of my former wrestlers was in that luncheon today. And we talked about it. I said, man, I've had so many failures. He goes, oh, yeah, you told us about them all the time. Because it didn't make sense till now. And he's older now and trying to go through those. But I think one of those things, sharing those failures, because you look on social media, and whether you're a fan or not of social media, it can be a beautiful thing, but also every time you pull it up, it's about the greatest thing, the fastest thing, the best takedown, the most money. You've had nothing but roses every day, all day. And we talk to our guys a lot about the failures. I mean, I always say, I've never been introduced when I've been a speaker like, hey, he has lost the national championship the last 19 years. No one's ever said that. Or he only got 4th in the country. There's 3 better guys than him. Or like, you were lowest in sales last month. Great job. No one ever says that. And it's a difficult conversation because I think, and this is that rabbit trail or rabbit hole, however you want to say it, I am the first guy in these college athletes' lives that told them they weren't good enough. I've told them because we have a roster limit. We can only have 35 guys. So we've had guys that have come to UWL. They've been the superstar, the big fish in the little pond type kind of thing. And then I tell them, hey, you didn't make the team. And they're devastated. They're crushed. Their parents call. They're like, oh, my God, what's going on? And unfortunately, it's the way the world is. The way we're limited at UW La Crosse. We only have 35 guys on our team. We'll have about 42 guys try out. I've had juniors not make the team, sophomores who've been on the team 2-3 years. They don't make it. You got to train. You got to hold yourself accountable. But I'm giving them real life experience, real world things. The failure part, because it's a difficult conversation. You don't want to do it. But once you have it, it's one of the best conversations ever. And sharing how nervous is so funny, the full circle of this. I was telling our guys yesterday at practice of, hey, I'm going to go do this presentation. And I'm so excited. It's about wrestling and our family. And the guys are like, you got it, coach. Because we always talk about, you got it. And like, don't be nervous, coach, and do what you tell us to do. And so them sharing those stories. But I also said, hey, man, one time I went to Aquinas Athletics. And they said, will you be our guest speaker? I'm like, yeah, do it. Totally blew it off. Did not prep, did not do notes. I'm going there, wing it. Worst presentation I ever did. I felt like I cheated them so bad. And I said, I will never do that again. So I tell them that story about, hey, man, when I got that phone call, like, we want you to speak at Leading with Power. I'm like, oh, that's what I'm talking about. Let's go. And started looking at websites and getting notes together and ideas. And I try to sit in my hot tub in the morning or late at night when the sun's coming up or going down. I always get my best ideas out in the hot tub.
Same here.
Do you really?
Yeah, my favorite time to sit in the hot tub is right as the sun's going down. Best time.
I gotta get a hot tub. I don't have good ideas. And that's probably it.
Get a hot tub or the sauna. I mean, I'm a huge heat.
I'm a shower guy.
Are you? Oh, there's your ideas. But I think that the biggest thing with those failures is they understand, like, okay, because we always talk about you don't need to be perfect. We're going to the conference championships on Saturday. We don't have to be perfect. We're not trying to be perfect. They take that deep breath and like, oh, I can just go wrestle. Because you guys all know when athletics or big presentations or a big bid or anything in business, man, there's some pressure involved and pressure you put on yourself. And these guys, if they can relax and just take a deep breath and going, I'm going to give it everything I have. And sharing stories is so key on the failures because we don't have anybody on our team that's undefeated. Everybody's taking a loss this year at some point. And I always just say, go out and battle as hard as you can. And then if they beat you, tip your hat at them, say, great job. I'm going to get you next time. And our guys have taken that mantra like, hey, we don't have to be perfect. Let's just go battle as hard as we can. They beat us. Great. Man, coach doesn't care if we get beat. That's not what I said. I just said, give it everything you got. If he does, he's better that day. Man, there's nothing better than that feeling knowing, and we always talk about, you're going to go through 7 minutes of hell, but think what he's going through. And oh man, if he's willing to do that, tip your hat at him. That's okay. That's okay. So your failures are so key. We do that with our daughters. We do that. I share stories with, prior relationships with my wife. We've been married 22 years, but obviously we dated people before we met each other. Hey, I wasn't the man I wanted to be. And here's some things that she shares stories. Man, that failure part's been really cool. And it's not easy at first to go, hey, I screwed up, or like, man, I handled this really the wrong way. And I got to tell you about it. And so you share it. And like, I don't know, the part of forgiveness is so key, and asking for forgiveness and guidance and love and everything else. It's one of those things that I think if you can learn how to do that, you can go a long ways.
Yeah. Tell us more about your family and your 4 daughters.
4 daughters. Yeah. So I've been married 22 years to Keba Malecek. It means earth child. Both her folks were hippies. And actually, it's so funny. Her sister's name is Salome, and her brother's name is Che, after the Cuban Revolution. So, and I'm from a strict Catholic family, David, Joseph, Mary. So the meeting of the two worlds. Met her and married, and we have 4 daughters. We have triplets that are seniors in college right now at the University of Illinois, running track and field and cross country. and our junior daughter, Isabella, who's a junior at Onalaska High School. All have had successful track programs, but more importantly, I think they're successful young women. I think they are very strong and independent. They know what hard work is. Somebody asked me the other day, how'd you get them to go to D1? That? And we had nothing to do with that. But what we did is we taught them other things. We didn't hire a strength coach. We didn't hire a nutritionist, a mental coach. We didn't do any of that. We taught them work ethic. We taught them responsibility, accountability, just doing the little things right. We did that. And my family is number one to us. I have two families. I have my wrestling family and I have my family at home, and they're both very important to me, and they made me who I am. And it's so different, you guys, from going to work and all day with a bunch of wrestlers and then going home. So I go from head coach of one of the best programs in the United States to going home being like sixth assistant. I mean, I am so far down the line. But those ladies, they do a great job. They've made me so much better because I got a whole new, different perspective. And having daughters, but they fish, they like the outdoors, they work hard, they'll lift weights, they'll do what you typically would say guys do, but then they're also doing their nails and they're also hair, listening to Taylor Swift, which I'm done with. And then all these, she doesn't listen to this podcast, so we're fine. But she might. That'd be great if she did. I got an idea. So I think those things, having that family is so key of what's made me the person I am today. And I was fortunate enough to tell them that I don't care any Hall of Fame I ever got into. As long as I'm in their Hall of Fame, that's all that really matters to me. And so they mean the world to me.
That's amazing. Let's talk about discipline, consistency, daily habits. I kind of made a post on that today. Wrestling's big on that and relating to life in general, but I think in today's world, the people are looking for that instant gratification or that big break, or if I could just do this, then I would be good. But we've interviewed a lot of successful people on this podcast with huge businesses, huge organizations, and it's a pretty common story of doing the simple fundamental things right with excellence for a long enough period of time to be disciplined, to do it for a long enough period of time to find success when they're an overnight success, right? So how does that apply? How does that apply in wrestling? How does that apply in life?
Well, and I think first of all, start with you personally, like what's your routine? And for some reason, the word consistency does not click with 18 to 22-year-olds or even high school students like with Bella. But the word routine does. And so what's your routine? And so it starts with you first personally. Like what's your routine like when you get up in the morning? What's the first thing you do? And like all these little things, whether it's brush your teeth. And I always tell my wife, hey, how'd you sleep last night? And we have coffee together in the morning at 5:30. And we start our day off like that. And then, or is your routine? And I make the bed every day. I can't leave to go to work without the bed made. It drives me nuts. Small routine, but if you can't handle making your bed in the morning, you can't start your day right. And there's this big study on making your bed in the morning and how it can start your day. So my routine as I get going through and doing it over a length of time, I've been driving the same route for 19 years to work. And every day I pray on the way into work. I don't need podcasts. I don't need radio stations. I don't need anything. I pray on the way in because I think that's my time, Dave time, I call it, of my routine of like how good I have it, how grateful I am, how just like ask for forgiveness and ask for all these things. And man, pray for my family, pray for the speedy recovery. I've even prayed for a couple victories along the way. But like, I think that time, that routine is so key, and all it turns into consistency. I think that you talked about it. Are you reading? Dave Scogan gave me a book on daily devotions. And so now I read those in the morning, and just all these little routines. I have a journal with me. It's in my backpack. It's every day. The book's called All In, and I write my goals and what was good today, what I'm looking forward to, and what's your end goal. And it's always NCAA champs. I read that every day. What are you thankful for? My wife, my life, my faith, and gives you like 6 lines. I journal every day. And so you start thinking about that, and then these things start falling into place of like, it's not coincidence. Like those little things. Do you work out? Do I sit in the hot tub? Do I sauna? Do I get my lift in? Do I wrestle with the guys? Did I tell my wife how grateful I am or how good she looks today? Or man, what's on her agenda today for work? And all these little routines that I do have just built up over all the years, and I change them a little bit to so they're not stagnant, but it's all going the same direction, that I want to be really good. I want to be the best dad. I want to be the best husband. I want to be the best coach. I want to be the best coworker. And how you do that is routine. And it's important. I need some Dave time every now and then, but being a servant leader, you want to help everybody else. So I put those times in. You look at my calendar and it's pretty regimented, but I also have a little free time, which counteracts what I just said. But it is so key to have that routine. And I think getting athletes into that routine, we talk a lot about the love of wrestling. You have to love what you're doing to want to come in and do 6 a.m. workouts, 9 o'clock workout, film study, practice, watch your weight. You got to have a routine. Otherwise, it just goes everywhere. You got to have a routine to do your full-time job, podcast, leading with power, all these things that you guys have going on. You got to have it. And like, I got time on this. What is there, 1,440 minutes in a day? What are you doing with them? And so like, we're going to take 60 of them here right now. I'm doing this, man. That's all part of my routine. It's all part of where I'm going. This is what I want to do. But I think with wrestling, with business, to me, there's no overnight success. Like there's been some young guys that have come through that have been pretty good early. And maybe your podcast started out with 2 viewers, but man, you guys put energy into it. You have a routine, you get your thing going. Same with wrestling. You can be successful with it. So,
and everything you mentioned, it's not watching film and X and O's and game planning. It's making the bed. It's telling my wife I love her. It's doing devotionals. It's like little stuff.
Yeah. Didn't cost me a penny.
Correct.
I don't have any money. Well, okay, here's some things you can do that doesn't cost you a penny.
Yep. And I think how you do those things is how you do everything. So that's, super important.
You guys make your bed today?
Be
honest. This is recorded. Be honest.
Well, since I couldn't name the last time I've made a bed, so I'm going to say no. I have no. But to be fair, I'll put it out there. So I sleep in bed with my oldest son, Atticus, and so then he wakes me up nice and bright and early. He has this little game. He'll tap my hand, and I'll wake up, and then we go downstairs. So no, I pick him up, and we head downstairs.
Let's go.
So no bed.
Are you coffee people in the morning?
Oh yeah.
Oh, we all get along. Okay, amen. Perfect.
Yeah.
How do you survive?
I know it's like a battery with no energy. It's like I don't know.
We got to have a sponsor. It's a coffee.
Yeah.
Okay.
Folgers.
I got ideas.
Yeah. There you go. There you go. If anybody is a coffee person, sponsor the Pay It Forward podcast so that we can
pay it forward,
be alive.
Maybe let's end on this, Dave, but you mentioned your faith and praying. Kind of what role has that played in who you are and your success as a person and as a coach?
Well, and I think it's changed over all the years. And that's another thing is we've talked earlier about sharing your story a little bit and failures and making mistakes. And I was 29 years old and my dad, and within 10 days span, my dad died of a heart attack at 57 out on a walk. My uncle died. He was 50. He died 2 days later. And then my grandma died. And I was really close with all 3 of those people. And so I think I had to kind of decide like, hey, I need to make sure I have this in my life. And I think it helped me get through the tough times. I remember someone saying to me, how are you going to get through this? And I said, I have my faith. I know I can get through this. And I think that's kind of stemmed where it's at. And I share my faith with people. I share my story a little bit, but like I tell people all the time that I think it's got to be what works for you, and not in a generalized way. I just feel like it has been so important to me, and wrestling's made me who I am. It's made me tough. It's let me get through a lot of difficult things, but I also think it's my faith that's gotten me through everything. And man, there's no better feeling than asking for forgiveness. There's no better feeling than asking and talking with gratitude, or knowing there's a plan and knowing there's all these things that someone else did for you and sacrificed for you. And then here just in November, my mom passed away of cancer, and she had a very strong faith. And that little stinker, she was, 5'2", 100 and some pounds. And they told her, you got 2 years to live with cancer. And that little stinker lived 8. And she had a great, strong faith, talked about it all the time, and devout Catholic, and saying her rosary. And she goes, I prayed last night for you guys to win the national championship. and so that was key. But I think the examples that I have, faith wasn't very important to me. I just didn't feel like I was going down the right path. And I just didn't feel like I was going and doing what I was supposed to be doing. And man, I've been pretty blessed on people have been around me that have had strong faiths and sharing it. And I have a Bible study I've been going to since 2013 at First Lutheran. Started out as 18 guys. You guys probably know how these work. starting with 18 guys, everybody's all excited, and now we're down to 6.
Yeah.
And it's the same 6 guys, and they are all there today, leading with power. And I have leaned on them. I've shared my story. They prayed for my mom. They actually sent me a text this morning. We had morning workout, so I couldn't go to Bible study. Sent me, hey, we prayed for you today, Dave, as you're presenting. And so it just touches me that it has been such a big part of my life, but maybe it's been more personal. My faith has of what works for me and what I see and where it goes, and I know the benefits of it. Sometimes it tears me up, like, man, I'm so blessed. Like, I can't believe this happened. I can't believe that this is my story. And it's so relaxing, you guys. That 18-minute drive from my house to my office is the best 18 minutes of the day. Like, man, I started thinking, man, I should probably pray on the way home too. That'd be 36 minutes. That'd be 36 minutes of the day. Maybe I'll do it before I go to bed. And then I say my devotions, and then I got it pretty good. So it's been really good. It's been really good, you guys.
Amazing.
That's beautiful.
Well, thank you for coming here with us today and sharing earlier, sharing today. It was awesome to get to know you more and hear your story. And I know I definitely got a lot out of it. So
I appreciate that. Thank you.
If people want to go support what you're doing, UWL Wrestling, how can they do that?
Yeah, just get on our website, UWL Athletics, and click on wrestling. And we're at the end of the season. We have our conference championship on Saturday, and then we have our regional championships 2 weeks later, and then an NCAA championships in Providence, Rhode Island. We'll be flying out there and chance to try to win our first ever national championship for our team. And then the next year, the championships are in Cedar Rapids. Then in 2027, it's right here in downtown La Crosse at the Lacrosse Center. So hopefully I'll see you guys before that, 2 years. But they can support us. Get on UWL website. Also, we're on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And so we're on social media as well.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Dave.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for listening and supporting the Pay It Forward podcast. If you want to find out more about how you can support the podcast or become a sponsor, please click the link below or visit our website, payitforwardpodcast.com. Again, thank you so much for your support, and we hope that you can find a way this week to pay it forward.